Hello, you lovely, lovely people. Good morning. I'm just thinking, because of all these laws that are not for the foreigners here, are we allowed to defend ourselves? I don't mean kill somebody, obviously, but I mean, if there was a fight that broke out and they were attacking us, would we be allowed to defend ourselves? And what would be too much aggression? I don't know. I really don't know, but it's something worth considering. I mean, luckily enough, I've never been in a tight spot here where I've had to defend myself. Thankfully, most Filipinos are very friendly and hospitable, as they say. But the worst come to worst, and let's just say, as an example, right? Let's just say we was in a bar or something like this, and a fight broke out, and the fight transpired onto us. So they were attacking us. What are we allowed to do? Are we allowed just to defend ourselves, put our arms up and curl up into a ball, or are we allowed to retaliate? It's worth trying to find this out, and I will try and find this out. Maybe someone's done a video, like on this before. I don't know. I've never, seen one. It's just worth considering, because at the end of the day, we never know. We never know. I think for someone like myself, I don't go to bars very often. I don't go into those kind of scenarios. But it doesn't mean to say that it would never happen. It can happen in the street. You could, here, or you're in Dipolog City, you can be walking past a sari-sari. And I've had this a few times before, where I've walked past somewhere and there's been some Filipinos drinking, and they say, "Friend, one shot." Well, like, I don't want a shot, and I say, "No, I'm okay. I'm fine, thanks." And some get offended by that. Some get offended. And there was another time that I was drinking with some, that's the Filipinos here, they having the drink outside this sari-sari. And do you know something? That's what's made me make this video, is because they've been drinking here since early morning and they're getting louder and louder and louder. And I'm just thinking, if anything ever happened, I walked past there and they started, could I defend myself? I don't know. Anyway, I've lost my trail of thought now. Oh yeah, there was this other time that I joined some people drinking, and they share a glass here. I don't know if you ever noticed if you're in the Philippines, but when you're drinking with Filipinos, they generally share one glass. Now, I'm not proud, and I'm not, I'm not that kind of person who is scared of a bit of dirt, but I don't like sharing glasses because there is hepatitis, blah, 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 you can catch. And I said one time, I said, no, I said, I'll get my own glass. And the guy that I said that to got very, very, very offended. Very offended. And I kind of ironed it out. I said, no, I said, it's not you. I said, it's me. I said, I got a bit of a cold coming. I didn't have a cold coming, but I tried to iron it out. I tried to, diffuse what could have been quite a nasty situation, because he got very offended. And I said, like in England, I said, we share, we don't even share glasses with family. I said, because, we don't know what germs we have and we're passing it on. So then he said, what, do you think I've got germs? I'm going to give it to you. I said, no. It's nothing to do with you. I said, it's to do with me. I said, I've got a cold coming and I don't want you to get, what I've got. And I kind of diffused it. But it just got, and they are very temperamental. Filipinos, although they're very friendly and they are very accommodating and mainly hospitable, they are very easily upset at the things that we would never think would upset us. It can upset them. And I notice this with my wife sometimes, where I would say something to her, ordinarily I wouldn't think twice about it, but it kind of offends. I'm learning it now. I'm learning it. But again, learning something and being in a situation is two different things. Because we can be walking past somewhere, someone's had too much to drink, they see a foreigner, they could get a bit loud. I would walk away. But there could be a time when you can't walk away because, you're backed into a corner. You're in a tight spot. So by retaliating to a Filipino, and let's just say, you bashed him up. I'm not saying do it. I'm just saying just say you did. He started on you and he's kicking and punching you, and then you hit him and you knocked him out. The police were called. I bet you any money you would be arrested. I bet you any money you would be arrested. Even if it was the Filipinos' fault, I bet you any money you would be arrested. It's my little boy shouting, yes! Come here. So, again, it's just something worth considering, in my opinion. And I'm going to check this out. I don't know where I'm going to get it checked out at. I think the only way to do it is through an attorney, and attorneys cost money. But I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to see if I can find out about this. And when I find out, I will put it on here. Not on this video, because I won't get it sorted out today, but I will definitely... My little boy shouted at me, because we're going into Dipolog today. So I will try and get this figured out, and let you know, guys. And let you know. And also, what self-defense would be too much? Let's just say there was someone hitting on your wife or your girlfriend. You're in a bar, someone's hitting on your girlfriend, so you say, hold on a minute, mate, kind of leave it out in a nice way, leave it out. She's with me, that's my wife. Then, if those persisted, what would you do? Well, I tell you what I would do. I would remove myself from that situation. I say, come on. But generally, when you do that, that kind of aggravates people more. It does in England anyway. When you try and remove yourself from a situation in England, it gives the other person more courage, because they think that you are a coward because you're walking away from it. I don't know how they would perceive that here in the Philippines, but I think what I would do if I was in any kind of tight spot like that, I would try and calm things down, depending on the situation. Because again, if they're his friends with them and we don't understand the language, they could be egging them on, oh, go on. Again, it's never happened. I hope and pray that it doesn't ever happen, but I'm just saying, what if, where would we stand? Would we get prosecuted? Which we probably would. I think I can answer this myself. And witnesses as well, because you would probably be on your own. They would have friends with them. So if the push came to shove, they would just maybe have witnesses that said, you started it, like us, the foreigner started it. So again, because, you've got to think, own kinds stick with own kinds. They would, join ranks and probably say, well, no, the foreigner did this, the foreigner instigated it, he did that, he did this. So again, because like we said, we haven't got any rights at all here, none at all. Although they say we haven't. When I was in a motorcycle accident, if it wasn't for the CCTV where the municipality was, I would have got done for that. And the only reason that the police listened to me and realised that it wasn't my fault is because I said about the CCTV. I said, can we drag that CCTV, the footage, and it'll show you quite clearly that I was not in the wrong, that this guy come up and he kind of undertook me, and I was turning left and he banged straight into me. But in the very beginning, they were blaming me without even hearing my side of the story. But it was only because of those cameras where they were that they kind of listened to me, thank goodness. But they were prepared to blame me, hands down. And I heard a story as well where there was an accident with a foreigner, and the foreigner was on the curb, and this habble went over his foot and fell off the bike. And it wasn't the foreigner's fault. He's on the footpath, the sidewalk, and the Filipino on the motorcycle blamed him, and he said, well, it wasn't me, I'm on the sidewalk. And he says, yes, but if you wasn't in the country, this accident wouldn't have happened. What can you say to that? If you wasn't in this country, that accident wouldn't have happened. My goodness, what can you say to these things like that? But yeah, and like I said, having an argument, with your Filipina, that as well is classed as cruelty to women and children, which is only one side. So let's just say your wife, your girlfriend, was shouting at you and making their derogatory comments and blah, blah, blah. We can't make a case because it's only for women and children. It's kind of very one-sided here. It's very one-sided, especially for foreigners. And I can understand how many foreigners would say in some of my comments, I could never live in the Philippines. It's just full of what it is. And I can get that because sometimes I do think of it. But luckily enough, I'm at the age where I don't need to go out clubbing, goes to bars. I've done that in my life. So now I live quite a solitary life, me, my wife and my family. We do go out. We aren't hermits. But what I'm saying is I don't need alcohol. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes, I like a drink from time to time these days, but I don't need to go out to bars. I can just drink with these people around here and equally have a good time. But I'm not a drinker where I can drink on my own. I'm a social drinker. I couldn't sit in my house on my own and crack open a bottle of beer. I can't do that. To me, there is no atmosphere. Can't do it. So people, if you people know, then again, leave a comment. If you know, are we allowed to defend ourselves, and what self-defense is classed sufficient, or what is classed as too much? Obviously too much is when the man's on the ground and you pummel him in the head. You can't do that. You can't do that in any country. But are we allowed to hit? Are we allowed to punch? What are we allowed to do? Or are we allowed to restrain? But these Filipinos are very strong. They might be very thin and very wiry, but they are very strong. You see them picking up these 40-kilo bags of cement. Me, my little legs will buckle up like that. And they'll buckle up and probably snap at the knees. These do it all day long. They do it all day. They are very wiry and very strong. And they've got that mindset. Anyway, people, yeah. On about Filipinos. Manny Pacquiao's fighting, isn't it, tomorrow? Tomorrow morning, I think. I'm going to be watching that. And also, Daniel Dubois and Alexander Usyk, which I'm looking forward to that fight more, actually. He's fighting as well. I think 5-6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, so I will be watching that as well. So tomorrow's a good day for me. Very, very good day. And I've got some people coming. We will be sat in the house, or maybe on the terrace, actually. I will rig the TV up on the terrace. Watching a bit of boxing. Happy days, people. Whatever you're doing today, wherever you are in the Philippines, this storm seems to have passed now. It's still windy, but thank heavens, here's the motorbike with no baffles, look. I'm in my car with the windows shut. It's very windy, but the rain has seemed to have subsided, thank God, because we had floods in this little river down here. I felt so sorry for the people. They were all flooded out. They were flooded out, and they were stood on this side of the river. And, I said to me, I said, go and see if they want any hot drinks. But Filipinos don't really drink coffee either. They just drink it in the mornings, maybe 1 or 2, and that's it. They can't understand how I have 8 cups of coffee in one day. And they can't understand how I will have a cup of coffee at 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the night and I can still sleep. What? I say, yeah. It's mind over matter. It's mind over matter, but they can't understand that. So yes, people, I'm rambling now. My wife is waiting for me. We've got to go into Diplomacy. My son is making a show of himself. Stood there going, Dad, Dad, Dad. You can probably hear him. So I've got to go now, people. Whatever you're doing, do it well. Stay safe. And if you know about this self-defense on foreigners here in the Philippines, if it came to it, please let me know. I will try and see. My wife knows an attorney, and I'll see if I can get any free information, because free is good. Free is always good. Thank you, people. Take good care. God bless you all. Bye-bye.